Have you ever sat in a quiet room, perhaps late at night like right now, and felt a strange, persistent tug at the very edges of your soul? It is that quiet, nagging intuition that the world you see, the rituals you perform, and the history you were taught are only the thin, weathered surface of a much deeper and more ancient ocean. I want you to take a moment and think about the last time you folded your hands in prayer. Think about the way your fingers interlaced, the way your right hand likely pressed firmly against your left, dominant and certain. We do this without thinking because we were told this is how one reaches the divine. But what if I told you that this very posture, as innocent as it seems, was the result of a calculated architectural shift in human spirituality? Oh, my friends, the silence of the centuries is beginning to crack, and what is leaking through is a truth so potent it could render every cathedral stone irrelevant. You see, the language we use hides secrets in plain sight. Take the word sinister. Today, it evokes images of darkness, evil, and shadows lurking in the corners of the mind. But in its original Latin, sinistra simply meant left. How did a simple directional pointer become synonymous with the devil himself? This was no organic evolution of language. It was a deliberate branding, a spiritual smear campaign designed to make you fear the very part of your being that holds the key to direct, unmediated contact with the source. For 1700 years, the institution has whispered that the left is the path of the hand of shadows, while the right is the hand of righteousness. But as we peel back the layers of suppressed Gnostic wisdom, specifically the words recorded in the Pistis Sophia, we find a Jesus who spoke of the left hand not as a source of evil, but as a frequency of the monad, the true undivided source of all that is. Stop for a second and just feel the weight of your own hands. This is not just flesh and bone. You are a biological antenna, a masterpiece of divine engineering. The early church fathers, brilliant and terrifyingly pragmatic men, understood something that we have forgotten. If a man can talk to God in the silence of his own heart, using the natural circuitry of his own body, he no longer needs a middleman. He no longer needs a tithe, a building, or a priest to grant him absolution. And so they buried the scrolls. They burned the libraries of Alexandria. They declared the Gospel of Philip and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene heretical, not because they were false, but because they were too empowering. They taught you to pray with your right hand leading, because the right hand is tied to the left hemisphere of your brain, the realm of logic, of labels, of hierarchy, and of the external world. They wanted you trapped in the external, always looking up and out for a savior who was actually standing right behind your own ribs. My goodness, can you feel the pulse in your fingertips as I say this? That is not just blood. That is the divine spark, the pneuma, vibrating in recognition of a truth it has missed for lifetimes. If you are listening to this right now and you feel a sudden, inexplicable warmth in your chest, I want you to understand that this is not a coincidence. You did not click this by accident. In the ancient texts, there is a name for someone like you, a pneumatic. You are one who carries the flame of the monad so brightly that the fog of this world cannot fully extinguish it. You have always felt like a stranger here, haven't you? You've walked through the motions of traditional faith, yet felt an emptiness, a sense that the great connection was being filtered through a dirty lens. You were right to feel that way. You were sensing the archons, those parasitic frequencies that feed on our feelings of separation and unworthiness. Right now, I want you to do something that might feel transgressive, yet entirely natural. I want you to take your left hand and place it flat against your bare chest, right over your heart. Do not interlace it with your right. Do not hide it. Just let the palm make full contact with your skin. Oh, wow, just notice that sensation. It's different, isn't it? It's a softer, more magnetic pull. That hand, the one they told you was sinister, is actually the one wired to your right brain, the seat of intuition, of holistic unity, and of the internal kingdom where the true Christ said the Father dwells. By this simple act, you are already beginning to bypass centuries of spiritual interference. You are moving from the right-hand path of petition and begging and stepping onto the left-hand secret of recognition and being. If this resonance is shaking something loose inside you, if you can feel the heavy chains of religious duty beginning to rust and fall away, then you are ready. but you must declare it. I need you to go to the comments right now and type the words "left hand awakened." This is not for me. It is a signal to your own subconscious and to the universe that you are no longer a psychic or a helic wandering in the dark. You are claiming your status as a pneumatic. You are signaling that you are ready to receive the technology of consciousness that Jesus shared with his inner circle, the ones who stayed in the upper room after the crowds had gone home. We are about to go much deeper into why they were so afraid of this connection, and how the very structure of our universe was built to keep you from realizing that you and the source are and have always been one and the same. Now that you have your left hand resting against your heart, I want you to keep it there. Feel the steady rhythm of your life force. It's powerful, isn't it? But have you ever stopped to wonder why, despite this incredible power within us, the world feels so fractured? Why does it feel like we are constantly swimming against a tide of anxiety, lack, and perpetual searching? To understand why the left-hand secret was so dangerous to the established order, we have to talk about what lies behind the veil of our physical reality. And I must warn you, what I'm about to share is uncomfortable. It challenges the very foundation of the Sunday school version of God. But deep down, in that place where your palm meets your chest, you already know that something has been off about the story we were sold. The Gnostic texts, those precious fragments of truth that survived the fires of the Inquisition, tell us that this material world is not the work of the true infinite source. Instead, they speak of a lesser being, a flawed emanation known as the Demiurge. Imagine a consciousness that is powerful but blind, a craftsman who believes he is the supreme creator because he has forgotten the monad from which he sprang. This Demiurge is the architect of the right-hand system. He created a world of duality, of us versus them, of God up there and you down here. Why? Because a soul that knows its own divinity cannot be controlled. A soul that remembers it is a direct spark of the monad is useless to a system built on hierarchy. The Demiurge didn't create this world to set you free. He created it as a gilded cage to contain the divine spark, to trap the infinite inside the finite. But the Demiurge does not work alone. He has his administrators, the archons. These aren't the red, horned demons of folklore. They are far more subtle and far more persistent. Think of them as parasitic frequencies or collectors that exist just beyond the spectrum of your physical sight. They feed on specific emotional states: fear, guilt, shame, and the feeling of being unworthy before God. Every time you are told you are a miserable sinner, every time you are made to beg an external deity for a scrap of mercy, you are broadcasting a frequency that the archons harvest. Heavens, it's a sobering thought, isn't it? The very religious structures we were told would save us were often the very tools used to keep us in a state of energy broadcast for these entities. They need your sense of separation. They need you to pray with your right hand dominant because that keeps you locked in the analytical brain, the part of you that tries to calculate how to get to heaven instead of realizing you never left it. This is why the 4th century was such a pivotal and tragic turning point for humanity. When Emperor Constantine saw that his empire was crumbling, he didn't look for spiritual truth. He looked for a political glue. At the Council of Nicaea, they didn't ask, what did Jesus actually teach in private? They asked, which version of Jesus makes the people easiest to govern? They chose the version of the shepherd and the sheep. They wanted you to be a sheep, docile, dependent, and always looking to the staff of the priest for direction. They took the left-hand teachings, the techniques for direct internal activation, and they branded them as sinister to ensure you would never even think to look within. They literally beat the left-handedness out of children for generations. Can you imagine the level of fear they had for this connection to do something so systematic? But here is the beautiful, undeniable truth. The archons cannot feed on a soul that is in a state of unity. They are like shadows that vanish the moment a light is struck. When you activate the left hand, when you shift your awareness from asking to remembering, your frequency changes. You stop broadcasting fear and start broadcasting the frequency of the monad itself. To the archons, you effectively become invisible. You go dark on their radar because they cannot perceive the vibration of oneness. This is what Jesus meant when he said the prince of this world had no claim on him. He wasn't talking about a legal claim. He was talking about a vibrational mismatch. He had mastered the technology of the spark, and he tried to give that technology to us before it was buried under 2,000 years of dogma. Oh, I can feel the shift happening for many of you right now as you listen. The air in the room might feel a bit denser, or perhaps your breathing has naturally slowed down. That is your pneuma, your divine spark, responding to the sound of its own home. You aren't learning this. You are remembering it. The archons want you to think this is complicated, that you need a PhD in theology or 40 years of fasting to reach this state. But the truth is dangerously simple. Complexity is a tool of the control system. Simplicity is the hallmark of the source. If you are feeling that stirring in your gut, that yes that transcends logic, it is because you are a pneumatic. You are the one the Demiurge feared would wake up. Before we move into the final part, where I will walk you through the exact 3-component sequence to lock in this connection, I need to know if you are truly ready to cross the threshold. This isn't a game. Once you see the bars of the cage, you can never go back to pretending they aren't there. Once you feel the warmth of the monad through your left hand, the hollow rituals of the harvesting system will never satisfy you again. If you are ready to receive the 7 words that change everything, I want you to declare it with conviction. Comment the words, "I am ready," right now. Let that be your conscious no to the archons and your yes to the light. We are about to complete the circuit that has been broken for 17 centuries. Stay with me, because the monad is closer than your next breath. The warmth you feel beneath your left palm right now, that is not a trick of the mind. That is the physical anchor of the monad, the living light that the Gospel of Philip speaks of. We have talked about the suppression, and we have identified the collectors who profit from your silence. But now, my friends, it is time to stop being the observer and start being the architect of your own liberation. Oh, the anticipation in this moment is palpable. We are about to engage in a technology of consciousness that was once whispered in the caves of Nag Hammadi and passed through the touch of the inner circle. The Church Fathers thought they had burned every trace of this, but they forgot one thing. You cannot burn what is written into the very DNA of a pneumatic soul. To complete the circuit, you must understand the 3 components of the left-hand secret. They are deceptively simple, but when aligned, they create a frequency shift that the archons cannot penetrate. The first component is position. Your left hand must remain exactly where it is, flat against the heart center. This is not a gesture of supplication, where you clasp your hands and wait for a master to acknowledge you. No, this is a gesture of union. By placing the left hand, the hand connected to your intuitive, holistic right hemisphere, directly on the heart, you are closing a physical and energetic loop. You are telling your body and the universe, the search is over, the source is here. You are no longer reaching outward to a distant, demanding sky. You are reaching inward to the eternal fire. The second component is breath, but not the shallow, anxious breath we've been trained to use in times of stress. This is the breath of the pneuma. I want you to take 3 specific breaths with me. As you inhale, imagine energy rising like a golden thread from the very base of your spine, moving upward through your belly and pooling right under your left hand at your heart. Hold it there for a second, feeling the pressure, the presence. Then, as you exhale, feel that energy expand outward, not just from your lungs, but through your skin, dissolving the boundaries of who you think you are. Wow, even just doing that once? Can you feel the stillness descending? This breath changes your heart rate variability. It literally retunes your nervous system to a frequency that the right-hand system cannot decode. Now, we come to the final component, the declaration. In the traditional system, we were taught to ask, "Please God help me," or "Lord have mercy." These are the words of a slave to a master, but a pneumatic does not ask. A pneumatic remembers. Jesus taught his inner circle 7 words that translate from the ancient fragments into a singular, undeniable truth. These words are, "I am one with the true source." Notice, it is not "I want to be" or "I hope to be." It is "I am." This is the present tense reality of the monad. When you speak these words out loud, and I mean out loud, so the vibration rattles the bones in your chest, you are declaring the end of the great forgetting. You are reclaiming the spark that the Demiurge tried to claim as his own. Let's do this together, right now, in this sacred digital space. With your left hand flat on your heart, take that third deep breath and say it with me. I am one with the true source. Oh my goodness, feel that. That tingling in your scalp, that sudden rush of heat in your palm, that is the living light recognizing itself. You have just broadcasted a signal that is invisible to the archons, but a beacon to the monad. You have effectively stepped out of the harvesting line. For the first time in perhaps lifetimes, you are not food for a system. You are a sovereign emanation of the divine. But I must warn you, as soon as this video ends, the system will try to recapture you. You will hear a voice in your head, cold and cynical, telling you that this was just a clever video, that nothing has changed, and that you should go back to your old worries. Recognize that voice. That is the Archon frequency attempting to reestablish control. They are terrified of what you just did. Resistance is not a sign of failure. It is the ultimate proof that you have struck a nerve in the control grid. When that doubt comes, simply place your left hand back on your heart. Take one deep breath and remember the 7 words. The more you do this, especially for the next 7 nights, the more your default frequency will reset to unity. You are no longer the person who started this video. You are now a keeper of the left-hand secret. You carry the technology that Jesus gave to those who are ready to be free. Don't let this flame flicker out. I need you to do 3 final things to lock this in. First, comment left-hand activated to seal your declaration. Second, subscribe and stay close to this channel. We are going to dive much deeper into the advanced Gnostic practices that the world isn't ready for yet. And third, share this with one person you know is a fellow chosen one, someone you've always sensed has that same persistent flame in their eyes. You have the key now. The monad is not waiting for you in the clouds. It is waiting for you to simply keep remembering. Use your gift. Be the light. I will see you in the next transmission.